We've never had that kind of trouble in these waters.
We all go a little insane on this island.
You all know me.
Marty, it's all psychological.
Know how I earn a living.
Nobody cares because there is no proof. You catch them, you kill them, you leave them out there.
Get the mirror off my back so I don't have any more of this zone crap.
You got that.
Welcome back to the Jaws Obsession, where we are here to share with you, prove to you, convince you, or remind you that Jaws is the greatest movie of all time. Thank you very much for returning back here for episode 89, Expanded Jaws Universe, Minute 2, episode 89. Very exciting to be back here in the Jaws Obsession, feeling the pressure as always. This show should have been done back on Sunday, but a tornado touched down not too far from here Sunday morning, and I was working round the clock for the last few days, which which pushed the window down to how our prep time for the trip over to Martha's Vineyard for Amity Week 2025. Jaws turned 50. It was great to see all the celebrations from afar. Fan turnout was very excellent. It looked like there was a lot of Jaws energy. I was hearing reports from the island. The Jaws energy was very high. What we're going to do now is we're going to take that energy and we're going to move that to the next level, being that now that Jaws has turned 50, now what? Right? What now? Now that we've celebrated the 50th anniversary, the next step would be to present the Book of Quint officially for part of Amity Week, the prequel to Jaws that has made waves, sold out 3 printings on paperback. The audiobook is out now, and we are getting great reviews all around on the audiobook. So what I am here to announce right now is that we have a new addition to the Book of Quint. We have a special edition hardcover Book of Quint that we just got hot off the presses. This is going to be a limited number of copies. We only were able to do 200 copies for the first printing, and they are coming with me. I am going to shoehorn all the boxes into my Jeep and bring them over with my family for the event on Saturday, June 28th at Edgartown Books, which has been renamed Amity Books. And that will be a book signing between 2 and 4 p.m. on the 28th. That will be the second half of the event. The first half is actually Friday, June 27th, between 2 and 4 p.m. at the Carnegie Heritage Center over in Edgartown, a presentation where I will be presenting the Book of Quint in its full form, in the full story, be the background behind the evolution of myself and how it came into being, and then its current form right now. But for everyone that wants to know, these books are going to be on sale only for now at Edgartown Books on Saturday, starting at 2 p.m. for the book signing there. I put a lot of work into creating what I thought would be the definitive final edition of the Book of Quint. There's a dust jacket that graphic artist Carl Loys helped me design. It's a great dust jacket, but if you are to remove the dust jacket, you now have a Book of Quint in cloth cover with a copper foil stamping emblem. This is just the craftsmanship on this by Lightning Press down in New Jersey is unbelievable. They do great work down there. This is the same press that did the original 300 back in 2022, the black cover with the silver foil stamping. So now we have a copper foil stamping. We have inside if you open up inside, there is a colored antique chart of Amity Island for the end pages, for the end sheets that are in the novel. And then for another exciting part is that you have a foreword that has been added, foreword written by our very own Marty Milner, construction foreman on the set of Jaws. He was on episode 50, and he has been a great friend to the show. He's been a great source of inspiration, and he has been also a mentor in a way. After I met him after he read the Book of Quint, and it means the world. It really means it's an honor, and it means so much to myself to include him in the novel now, as he wrote a foreword that is going to be published with this edition of the Book of Quint. Also, in the back, there is a surprise chapter. There's an extra chapter in the back of the Book of Quint, this 2025 special edition that will be premiering for Amity Week 2025. We only have about enough room for about 170 books over to the island, and that's all we really have for now. I'm in discussions with Matthew over at Edgartown Books to see if he would like to do pre-orders. If we can do a pre-order system, if these books sell out, then maybe we will be able to get another run of books and then get them back to him so he can ship. The cost and the logistics of it all are some of the biggest hurdles that you have to do when you start out a publishing company. And in order to get this novel to where it needed to be, to have everyone have access to the Book of Quint. If you do not have access, there's an ebook that's available through Amazon Kindle Direct. There's also an audiobook that's on all platforms. You can find the description in the link tree in this video broadcast or in this podcast, that whatever platform you're listening on. It's very exciting to be able to get this book to the vision that I actually thought it was at. If you see these photos, the glamour shots that I was able to take, it looks like a piece of driftwood that would have came in and you find it on the rocks. I've always felt that there's a timeless nautical feel with the character of Quint. And it's just that I think that this hardcover edition with the dust jacket really captures the essence of the novel, but also the essence of the character of Quint, that timeless nautical feel. And it's exciting to be at that level. And we could have only gotten at that level by striking out on our own with a new publishing company and being able to get there. But unfortunately, with that comes limitations in logistics and access, funding, and all of those things that come along the lines in order to get the book out in a wide release. So this is going to be a very limited edition for now. And then we're probably going to have to look at doing micro print sessions coming up, where we will have a specific, finite amount of time where you will be able to go and order the Book of Quint, pre-order it, and then once those numbers come up, we're going to close the window, and then the book will be sold out. And from whatever those copies, then that goes into the printing press, and then we will be able to ship from there. What happens is that you're going to have a longer time to get the novel, but trust me, this edition is worth the wait. It has a heavier paper feel to it, just like those original 300 novels. So the paper is more of an antique feel to it, but it's just how I've always saw the book reaching its potential. And now that we have a foreword by Marty Milner, it brings in the true purpose of even what we were trying to do with the Jaws obsession here. Highlight the voices and the names of those that helped to make Jaws possible that aren't necessarily above the line. And that is essentially what Marty Milner was. He was the guy that was inside the shark, repairing the tears on the mouth, repairing the skin, getting the shark ready for filming the next day. And I just love that. I love that aspect, is that there's all the, when films are made, it's not just a director, it's not just a composer, it's not just an editor. It's all hands on deck. It's a ship, and you have a captain of that ship. If the machinist mate is not doing his rounds in the engine room, you could have a catastrophic failure, and the whole ship is paralyzed. That's what a film like Jaws was like, and there were many people that helped along the way. So to get Marty Milner's words and thoughts published for the rest of time with the Book of Quint is very, very, very special. It's an honor, and it captures the essence of what I always felt that this novel could do, and this show of the Jaws obsession could do for the movie Jaws, is bring us all together and highlight those names that do not necessarily get the spotlight very often. I put it on Instagram, and emails have started coming in, and Hayden over in the UK that runs Jaws OB UK on Facebook and Twitter. He started getting messages as well about ordering the book, and there is a demand for the novel. The novel is sold out as it is. It's not currently available. It's sold out everywhere: Target, Walmart, Amazon. Over in UK, it's all sold out. Waterstones. We are going to be two of the closing events for Amity Week 2025 for the Jaws 50th anniversary. And it's like playing cleanup hitter in a baseball game. You're coming in and you're just going to just kind of punch home what was a great source of inspiration and light that was at the beginning, the first weekend. Now we're going to go into this next weekend, and what could Jaws be for the next 50 years? Could we have this prequel novel, if you are to read it, would you be able to watch Jaws again for the first time using the details that are in this novel, even so much as what we're going to see here on this second minute? With just even the map, we're going to show how it changes the way you sort of watch Jaws if you have a verified map of Amity Island that uses all the different elements and brings them all together, the visual elements. So anywhere on that map you can place yourself in the movie Jaws. And it's a logical map too, because Amity Island is not very large. It's not very large if you see the way the characters transition and move around the island. It is not the size of Martha's Vineyard, because Martha's Vineyard takes quite a long time. If anyone's been there, and there's a lot of people visiting the island for the first time this last weekend and even coming up for this week of the 50th anniversary of Jaws, you'll see that the island is very, very large. There's 6 different towns on Martha's Vineyard. Now, in Jaws, they only talk about the town of Amity, so we only can really see that the Amity Island has room for one township, and Amity Point, as it's talked about, where Quint is from, and Quint's shack that's all the way on the other side of the island. So that's the little fishing village, but it all falls under Amity Township, and that's the type of accuracy that we go into in the Book of Quint. And where I'm headed with this is that it allows you to visualize and enjoy Jaws in another realm, in another way, because now you are actually living on the island and you're actually following around with the characters. So that's what the Book of Quint does with that map. That map is also available inside the book. So the ebook, if you get that, you'll see in the appendix you have maps of Amity Island. And we're going to go into that. We're going to go into that as well. So with the Book of Quint hardcover special edition, 2025 special edition, I wanted to make sure that whoever who is coming out for our presentation on Friday, June 27th, and then the book signing on June 28th, we need books to sign. So that's why we're not going to be able to sell these before. I want to make sure that everybody comes to that book signing will have a chance to have a book, and then I will be there to sign all of those books. That's why we do not have a pre-order at this moment. I'm looking forward to leaving for the island tomorrow. Our ferry is over. It's a Thursday night, and then we'll be headed over there. And on Friday we have the presentation. So I'm feeling the pinch. I lost a few days because of that storm, and I had to work on. We had a lot of power outages in the area, so now I am kind of up against the wall, feeling a little bit of the pressure. But that's okay. Pressure is good because it keeps you on your toes. One of my main goals was to get a podcast out to introduce the Book of Quint, the special edition, to everyone, but also to continue our momentum here, our Jaws, expanded Jaws universe, moving on with minute 2 and continuing this momentum here. For those that do not, that might be joining us for the first time, I understand a lot of people learned about the Jaws obsession and the Book of Quint over the weekend because everyone was on the island, and some of you that have been following the show, everybody's been doing great. This is as grassroots of a campaign that we've ever had, novels or cinema or anyone has ever seen. This is a passion play, and there's so many people that have read the Book of Quint that want to just get out there and tell other Jaws fans about it. So we're getting new listeners to the show every day. We're getting new viewers to the show now that we have video on YouTube. So it's very exciting to see all of this happening because we are all on our own here. We're not getting any help from any of the major sites. When you see Instagram following going above 10,000 now, you see that one of the Book of Quint trailers has over 250,000 views on Instagram. That's just unbelievable. This is word of mouth happening, and this is what's going on, is that people are they like the Book of Quint. They think they like the tone. And what they're doing is they're telling everybody else about it. So this is spreading. It is actually working. That 2025, this took 5 years to bring this project to this point. And that's why that presentation on Friday, June 27th at the Carnegie Heritage Center is going to be so important. I have a lot of prep for that, and we're going to come in and you're going to hear parts of this whole last 5 years, but parts of the prep and all of the work that built up to get to this level. You're going to hear things that are really special to myself, that have molded myself in order to get this project to where it needed to be. It will be an honor to present it there. So I'm looking forward to this so much. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. Some of the people that have called into the show, some of the people that have written to me over the years. We're talking years now. Remember, Jaws Obsession started in December of 2021. John Tedder, the Orca Rebuild, John Tedder, who is the technical advisor to the Book of Quint, is on island right now, Martha's Vineyard. He will be at both the presentation and at the book signing. So you can get him to sign the back in the acknowledgement section, because you can get John Tedder's signature there. Mike Currid of Eggertown Tour Company, he is going to be on hand to, he's going to be doing his Jaws tours, but he's trying to line that up so his Jaws tour ends right at the presentation, so everybody can come in that's on that Jaws tour. Then they can actually see the presentation of the Book of Quint. And the same thing for the his walking tour. He's trying to bring them in on Saturday, June 28th, so they end at the book signing, which is going to be quite the feat if he's able to pull that off. But Mike Currid, he came on episode 17, the Ultimate Jaws Location Tour. So he was our guest there. If everyone wants to listen to episode 17, some people have, some of the Jaws fans have listened to that and then picked up the phone and scheduled a tour with them right after. So he gets asked about the Book of Quint all the time, and now it's customary if you're on that tour, get him to sign your Book of Quint. So there's so many different names that are involved with the Book of Quint that this will be this June 27th and 28th. These two events there in Edgartown are going to be quite special. If we do run out of books, what I have now is I've created 2 cards. I've created these 2 commemorative cards with their own date for Jaws 50th, June 2025, Edgartown, Massachusetts. So they're personalized for the events. But what happened? You actually have a QR code on the card. You'll be able to scan that, and that will take you right to our link tree. Then you can go and find the audiobook for your trip back. But what I can do is I can sign these cards as well. So when you get your Book of Quint, you will be able to just put these cards in. You'll be able to put these cards inside the book. So you'll have something that it was. So you'll have a card there, a signed card that goes along with your book. And these cards will only be at this Jaws event. These Jaws events. So that was my way of trying to make light of the situation that we are in with limited number of copies, but the demand it's kind of increasing now. People are hearing about the book for the first time. So only about 170 books is what I'm able to bring. There's about 10 or 11 boxes that we're going to have taken up, and then that's with my 2 daughters in the back seat and couple of bags with Tatiana and myself driving. So it's going, and then on top of the car is all the visual aids, the boards that I have made up for the presentation. So we are going to be coming in hot and heavy, ready to rock and roll for Jaws Amity Week 2025 for the 50th anniversary of Jaws. This is going to be a monumental occasion and very exciting, because think about this. This whole Jaws Obsession was created to build up to this moment. And that my email here, you can reach the show here, JawsOB, the letters OB2025@gmail.com. And that was created way back when in 2020, when I said the first thing you got to do is create an email address. And I picked Jaws 2025 because I knew that the 50th anniversary of Jaws 2025, something special was going to happen. Obviously, we don't have a movie made. That would have been really nice. It would have been pretty cool to actually see a feature film come out for the Book of Quint. But Hollywood's a little slow at getting around to things. So maybe they wanted to see if the Book of Quint had legs and if it could have lasting power. And it looks like it does, because the fans are really excited about it and excited about the story, to learn more about the USS Indianapolis and to learn more about Quint and his life before what we see in Jaws. So this is a great honor for myself. We have Matthew to thank for at Edgartown Books. He is just such a rock star. He is such a superstar for bringing us in. He had me there last year, and we were in the same predicament. We ran out of books, and I had to bring in quite a few boxes of books in order to resupply for the book signing. And now for this year, we're kind of in the same position. We have a little bit more books this time, but the demand and the excitement level is many notches higher, is ramped up many levels higher. It's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. But for those that can't make it, we will have video. I'm going to have multiple video sources running in order to capture the presentation, and then that will be taken down and edited into its own Jaws Obsession podcast and broadcast, put on YouTube when I get back from the island at the beginning of July. So let's push on here with this, with Jaws. And we are now in the second minute 2. Okay, we had minute 0, minute 1. Now we're at minute 2. When we last left at the beginning of minute 2, we just got introduced to Miss Chrissie Watkins, played by Susan Back-Linney, and this is our first time seeing her. Jaws Obsession, episode 77, Farewell Susan. She passed away May 11th, 2024. We had a Jaws Obsession episode 77, dedicated to Susan Back-Linney and her accomplishments and her life. So I would urge everyone to please go over and listen to that after this episode, and to learn more about Susan Back-Linney and the athlete that she was, as well as what I believe is one of the greatest stunt performers that has ever worked in cinema, because the pressure and the performance that she gives opens up what is arguably the greatest opening performance of any movie of all time. Okay, she's right up there with Marlon Brando's opening in The Godfather. She was just hired to do some stunts, not necessarily to have an acting performance that terrorizes a nation. That strikes fear into the hearts of an entire world, an entire nation, and opens up one of the greatest movies of all time. So please go over and listen to episode 77 for Farewell Susan. But with this, if we're going to go into the Jaws universe, we're going to try to stick really close into the Jaws universe, not talk about as much as the making of, but just inside the Jaws universe. We have to go to Jaws Obsession episode 66, which is Chrissy Victimology. And that we look at her tragic death, June 27th, 1974. And we use clues throughout the movie to establish the dates and times as well as her age. And I'm going to run through those a little bit right here. But that episode is perfect for this scene, Jaws Obsession 66, Chrissy Victimology, episode 66. So let's push on with this here, and we're going to dive right into the movie here. We have Mr. Cassidy here, Tom Cassidy, played by Jonathan Filley, finishing his Falstaff beer. Okay. So they smile at each other, but then I want everybody to listen. I'm going to turn the volume up. Right there. Okay, right there is very, very telling, that little signature look over that she does here. What you hear in the background, you hear a seagull, and you hear a crashing of a wave, and that diverts Chrissy's attention from Cassidy over to the ocean. Now that look over, Spielberg, actually, that's a specific direction that he would have done. Let's watch that one more time here. Crash, and then a look over right there. So right there, that little look over at 8 seconds into the minute 2 here, 2 minutes and 8 seconds into the film, when she looks over at the water, what is showing us is that there's something calling her. Okay, that's the ocean calling her to go swimming. But what we're also looking at is that she is not there as part of the group. She's not there as the partiers. She is not part of them. She's there for a different purpose. And that look over is the ocean. That's almost that was what she originally was, her calling was to, she came there to go swimming. And that little look over, instead of her attention off of Cassidy, is there's something going on there, because it's not a look of excitement or anything. It's a look of her destiny. It's a look of almost a foreboding pull that she has to go swimming at that time. It's very interesting, and it's exceptional acting by Susan Back-Linney, because there's a somberness to it. There's a almost in a way, the way I'm interpreting it, in my interpretation, there's almost a sense of foreboding or dread involved here, that she has to do this. So because she didn't go there, she didn't come to the island to party and to hook up with a random college guy. She came there for a specific purpose, and we need to know what that is. So continuing on here, we see in the wide shot, Spielberg gives us a wider shot that establishes, we're going to pause it right there at 2 minutes and 18 seconds, the wider shot that establishes the campfire, the surrounding college kids that are there. You have Cassidy makes his way over and kneels in front of Chrissy Watkins. Let's look around here. We obviously got the keg of beer with the Falstaff beer cups around. Everybody's got plates in front of them. And remember, we highlighted that everybody's dressed with blankets. It's very, very cold. That it's cold out there. That this is not normal. This is not normal swimming weather. This is not normally how you want to go swimming at this time. We also have to look at the trash can that has steam coming out. There's a site here called Survival Sullivan. You're safe here. I'll put this in the show notes as always. We have show notes. You can find the link in the description of this broadcast. This right, how to steam food over a campfire step by step. He goes into the benefits of steaming food, but also steaming is also relatively quick cooking method, taking about 5 to 10 minutes depending on what you are steaming. This estimate doesn't include the time the water in the pot takes to reach boiling point. Delicate flesh like fish, clams, lobsters, crabs, mussels, and certain vegetables retain their succulence when steamed. So that's why we have this aluminum trash can, as it says in the article. The pot, first off, the pot you use on the fire, whether it's cast iron, stainless steel, or aluminum, should have a well-fitting lid to make the whole process more efficient. So what we're looking at here is that would be the pot that's still steaming. They had this over at the fire, and that's how they were able to make the steam. That's how they were able to steam cook the lobsters that they are all eating. So I don't know if this was the first round or second round, but this is where they put it over there, and she's sitting off to the side. We also have the broken dune fencing here, which is going to be coming in later on. So what we really need to look at is that she is not part of the group. This is later into the night. Cassidy is already intoxicated, so he's definitely a few Falstaff cups deep into the night. And everybody has either a finished plate, empty plates, and multiple cups. So this has been going on, but she's been sitting over here. We have to assume she's been sitting over here by herself the whole time. And Cassidy was the first one to come over and talk to her. Okay? She doesn't have any other friends here. To make this point a little clearer, I would like to bring in some of the Jaws deleted scenes that you can find on YouTube or on some of the DVD compilations that have been around. But we need to listen to. This is it's when we deal with deleted scenes, it can't be really canon to the film because it wasn't included in there, and a lot of the times deleted scenes will be left out because information either is not necessarily important to the storyline and there's pacing issues involved, but also it's possible that the director just doesn't like the information and it doesn't coincide with what he really wants, and maybe he changed his mind. So it's not really canon, but what we can use it for is maybe a pathway to steer us towards using clues in the actual movie to draw a conclusion. And that's what we're going to do here. Is I want everybody to listen to this outtake. It's a little bit longer discussion between Cassidy and Chief Brody that happens later on.
So you picked her up at the ferry. How many were in the group?
About 20 of us.
Spent the night on the beach?
Most of it.
Nobody saw her go into the water?
Somebody could have. I was sort of passed out.
So you picked her up on the ferry. How many people were in the group? 20. So what we have learned here is we have that this is the group that was coming over from the mainland. Cassidy was with them. So all of these folks are all college age, because we learn later on in that scene that Cassidy goes to Trinity College and he is of college age. So that means he is between 18 and 22 years old. Okay. What we also know here from later on is we know that that from the screenshot from when when Chief Brody is typing at the typewriter and he's making his supplemental report, that he has her wallet there and he has her age. And if you look at the upper left corner, so if we look at, it's really quick, but it's right when Polly passes him the phone. But if you look up in the upper left corner right here, it says age 24. So he's finding out that she is 20. Chrissy Watkins is 24 years old. Let's zoom in on that now. Okay. That right there, that age 24 is a very, very big clue to establishing Chrissy's motivations during this sequence. So we're dealing with college age kids that are at the most 22 years old if they're seniors, but 18 to 22, probably heading into their summer year. So they're not necessarily graduated. They're probably even younger. He's probably 21 because he's not saying that he graduated. He's saying he's going to college. So we're headed into the summer here. So we're maybe 20 and 21-year-olds, and she's 24. So that explains why she is sitting off by herself. This explains why she is sitting off by herself, and she is not necessarily part of the group. She's older than all of them. So what was she doing on that ferry? What actually put her on that ferry in order for her to come over to Amity Island? And that's where she she saw the group, and the group said, "Come on with us." Okay, that's very, very interesting. We have to keep that into account here, that she's older than Cassidy. Okay, so she had to look over. The water's calling her. Cassidy kneels down at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. He asks, "What's your name?" If you can listen closely, he said, "What is your name?" So he does not know her. Later on, in that same outtake, he was saying, he sort of heard her last name, and he mentions a couple of other last names here. Let's bring that back up.
Christine what?
Worthington.
You don't remember her name?
See, Christine what? He says Worthington. He doesn't remember that she says Christine Watkins or Chrissy Watkins. And if we look here in the screenplay, this is as close to the final version of the screenplay we have. This is actually the Deputy Hendricks is searching the shore. This is in scene 17, the page 7 of the screenplay with Carl Gottlieb's contributions here. Meanwhile, Brody in his casual police attire and Tom Cassidy, still in the clothing we saw him in last night, walk down the beach. Brody fingers the missing girl's shoes, purse, and clothes. In the daylight, Cassidy misconducts himself, wavering between inflated maturity and tear-blown adolescence. Brody, Christine what? Cassidy, Worthingsley, Worthington. No one ever died on me before. Brody, you picked her up on the ferry. I didn't know her. Brody, and nobody else saw her in the water. Cassidy, somebody could have. I was sort of passed out. We know that Christine answers Cassidy here with her full name. Now Christine gets up to run, and let's turn.
What's your name again?
Chrissy.
So Chrissie Watkins actually said her full name there, and then now she gets up to run. Tom Cassidy follows after her. But now we have to look at what is she actually wearing. Okay, now this is one of the clues, is that you have to look at, she's wearing a sweater, but she's also wearing a blue vinyl jacket, like a really light blue windbreaker. This absolutely breaks from all the other people that we saw wearing down jackets, or they're wearing the sweaters with leather coats over it from minute 1. Now in minute 2, she's sort of underdressed for this all-night party. I don't think she was. She came to Amity to think that she was going to be going out and sitting on a beach all night. She doesn't have any sleeping bags. She doesn't have any other bags other than this small purse with her wallet inside and the clothes that she's wearing, which she's pretty much underdressed for the occasion. Now Cassidy's wearing his sweater, but he's intoxicated, so he can't feel any of the elements anyways. So what we have to realize is that that it seems like Chrissie Watkins was impulsively on that island, that she did not plan on coming there for long term. She's running away from something. She's skipping out, and she just came to that island as a last minute resort, as a whim. Remember, in the Book of Quint, when Herschel says, "It was hard work just getting out to Amity, and even harder work living here. Whoever lived here wanted nothing to do with the modern world. Amity was always an outcast island, only natural that it attracted the outcasts of society as well. We avoided the world while the world avoided us. It's just the way it was." So what I was trying to, what the Book of Quint is giving voice to, is that Amity is a runaway island. It is an island, it's an outcast island, and people that have settled there or come to there, other than the tourist season, outside of that, it's you are running away from something, or you are an outcast from something, and you're looking to get away. And that's why you come to Amity Island, because there are much larger islands with fancier towns and better accommodations, such as Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, to go to if you are in that area. And that's one of the reasons that Chrissie Watkins, the Chrissie Watkins character, caused me to, that's one of the reasons behind that line, is that I wanted to show that she's not the first, and she won't be the last to actually come to this island looking to change lifestyles, or to get away, to run away from something. So that's where we have Chrissie Watkins now clearly running away, symbolically running away, and she runs up the dune hill.
What's your name again?
Chrissy.
Where are we going?
Swimming.
Slow up.
Okay, we have to realize there's a couple of things we're watching here. Is number one is that this use of the dune fencing here, racing by. This is going to be one of Spielberg's early motifs that he actually worked with in Jaws. As if you watch the non-shark sequences in Jaws, he really put a lot of thought into establishing this world of Amity Island, as something with rigid boundaries, rigid structures that are hard to break through or break out of. So he really focuses on a lot of the fencing, as you see here with Chrissy running down past the dune fencing of the of South Beach. We also have later on we have Martin Brody walking out of his house with a dilapidated fence in front of the Brody household, and then you show Martin Brody walking later on out of Amity Police Station with the white picket fences. It's even talked about the karateing of the picket fences, and you have broken fences. So here Chrissy's running by a broken fence. There's a lot of interpretation that could lead to this, but this is why that Jaws is elevated above just a typical summer blockbuster movie, is that Spielberg really had a sense of direction, but also displaying a narrative without speaking or telling you about it, hitting you over the head. He's just showing you what it's like visually. So subliminally, we're taking in the fences, and now the broken fences, the dilapidated fences, because there are going to be this attacks that are going to be happening, is going to break up that island. It's going to break up these societal structures. It's very, very interesting. It's also going to make Chief Brody aware of the boundaries and the structures that are set up by Mayor Vaughn and the rest of the selectmen. It's just very interesting foreshadowing going here, running by the fences. This is not by chance. Remember that we had Michael Hayden, who's the guitar player, and we read from Jaws Memories from Martha's Vineyard, page 213. Remember that inset where he's talking about, I was hired as the guitar player for the bonfire on the beach. The assistant director, Tom Joyner, said to me, play something, and he talks about playing Otis Redding's The Dock of the Bay. So this is the very interesting. He says, once Joyner had things up the way he thought they should be, Spielberg came over to look everything over. He had mostly been walking around in the dunes, demarcating Chrissy's path to the water. So while Tom Joyner, assistant director Tom Joyner, was setting up the campfire sequence with the guitar playing and all that, Spielberg was out by himself demarcating and telling them where to line up this dolly track to get this shot to show Chrissy running past all this fencing. This is deliberate by Spielberg, and this is what he was contemplating while they were filming this scene, which was shot on June 27th, 1974. So in a couple of days, that's very interesting. I'm going to be, our presentation on June 27th, 2025 will be 51 years from the filming of this scene, as you see here. Very interesting. So June 27th, 1974 was the call sheet of when they were filming the bonfire scene and this running sequence. I want to, as we also have to look at,
I'm not drunk!
what is she doing with her clothes
Cut
here?
out!
She's taking off her shoes and she's just throwing them. She's discarding her clothes and she's leaving them on fences. She's throwing them everywhere. So you actually have Chrissy Watkins is displaying, she doesn't even care about her things. She's just throwing stuff everywhere. If a person was concerned about just their well-being, they would go to the water and they would disrobe and leave a pile of clothes there. But not Chrissie Watkins. She's running like she's in her mind. There are no commitments, that she's almost expecting not to come back. Dare I say suicidal, or dare I say throwing caution to the wind. She's going to run into very, very cold water, and she is just throwing caution to the wind, almost throwing her stuff around, almost like she doesn't even plan on coming back and searching for it. That right there is a very, very big tell into what her psyche is as she's entering the water here. And I always zeroed in on that. And the character of Chrissie Watkins, to me, is fascinating in that there is much more depth than just a summer girl looking for a fling, looking for a good time. There is much more depth if you watch all of these little details in a frame-by-frame analysis. This is understandably, this is a character that's troubled, and running from a troubling past, or something happened where she's running from it. And this is one of the elements why I believe Jaws is the greatest movie of all time. Why do we keep coming back and rewatching this movie? Because subliminally, there's something more there that we'll never know, because we don't know the whole story, but it's there, and we want to know that. And that's why we come back. Maybe another clue will jump out, or maybe you've never even thought of this, but that subliminally, all these little movements show you that this is not the typical conduct of someone that is in the right state of mind. Even someone was ready to just have fun on a beach with a younger guy she just met. It doesn't compute, because if she felt like she was going to come back from that water, there would be more preservation of her things or her well-being or anything that other than being on her own with a bunch of younger kids, with a bunch of younger college kids, and she is older than all of them. Cassidy, obviously intoxicated, does not even understand what's going on, so he continues to run around, and he's struggling to get his shirt off. Runs to the dune. So what we have to look at is the topography of the beach here as he rolls down the sand dunes. And remember, she was running up. So the South Beach area of Amity Island is very, it has a lot of sand dunes. This will probably be a good space to bring up the location of Amity as per the Book of Quint. Remember, what we were doing was we're watching Jaws again for the first time, utilizing the facts that are established with the Book of Quint. And one of the things I wanted to show is where we have inside the Book of Quint, we do have inside the Book of Quint, we do have maps in the appendix that actually show you a little bit more of what's going on here. We look at, this is the overall map of Amity Island, and we're gonna zoom in here. That here's Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and Amity Island is a third island, and that's where the location is right there. So you can see that this is logic. To give a good quick roundabout is that this is where it would get its power from Nantucket. Nantucket then gets its power from the mainland Cape Cod. So the power would then come here and then come over there. So Cable Junction obviously is on the east side of the island, closest to Nantucket. This is the shape of Amity Island. It's an organic shape. It's inspired by another island in the Bahamas, because I wanted to have an organic shape that's naturally occurring, and but that it actually establishes the geography, but it matches up with all the different locations and camera angles that we see in Jaws. So I will now let's get rid of this. Okay, let's bring in the map of Amity Island as seen in the Book of Quint here. This is in the appendix now. These maps all come with, they're all in the appendix of every, from the paperback to any of these hardcover editions that are releasing. But this is what we're looking at. This is the map of Amity Island, and we're going over some of the simple geography that we're already seeing in Jaws. That South Beach is actually very, very long. It actually it comes all the way around here. And this is kind of the area, this little bay area, and right here, this is where we're looking at is where Chrissie Watkins is. This is where we are right now. A lot of sand dunes, but also farther away from town, so it's separated. It's out kind of in the middle. It's in the middle of the island. Harder to reach unless you're with a bunch of people and they all know somebody that has a few cars and they all come out here. This is all going to tie back in as we go through the movie. I'm going to be referencing this map quite a lot, because if you look at all these different lighthouses, they all match up with lighthouses that we see in Jaws. So some of these minutes I will be pausing and coming back here. For those listening, what I have the Amity Island 1968 map that's pulled up, and we're just referencing this, a quick reference to what we're seeing here, where Cassidy rolls down the sand dune. So the Chrissie Watkins attack is going to be in this area, okay? Just outside of, there's the shallows, but what I wanted to establish with this map is that there's a very large drop-off that happens. You go from 10 fathoms, which is about 60 feet, and then you drop off to 20, 30. 1 fathom is 6 feet. So then you have 10, 20, 30, 40. So you drop down to 40 fathoms right here. And so what you have, if you have any large predators, they're going to be hanging out in this area, and then they're going to be coming in here where into the shallower area where possible prey are seals and other marine life that a great white could hunt at. And that's what we're dealing with here, is we're dealing with right in this area is where the Chrissie Watkins attack is. You'll see Averill Bay, you'll see the pond. This is going to be the State Beach area, okay? The State Beach area, you can see this is the main road that goes around. This is the South Beach or South Highway right here. There's also a northern route that comes around, and this is the town of Amity, and they all connect, right? And they go one road that goes into Amity Point, which is the village where Quint lives. So I'll be referencing this a little bit more, but right now I wanted to show a little bit of the island geography. In the next minute, we're going to go over some dates and times that this attack takes place. But right now, this is very interesting because this is going to add up to how they track the shark and how Hooper's theory of finding the shark later on. That map it's really important. So that map is in establishing the island geography. So that will be that's the first appearance on these this expanded Jaws universe minute by minute show. And we're at 2 minutes and 57 seconds in. Cassidy just rolled down the hill. But what we have now here is as he kicks sand up, we have the sun is peaking up, okay? So we now know that it's actually just before sunrise. It's dawn. It's just before dawn. So you have the full moon would be up here, and then you have the sun coming up. And so we are looking at the time frame. Like, we're going to get into this in the next minute, but the time frame is perfect for a mistaken identity or a predation by a great white, as this would be the time that they do a lot of their hunting. And at the 3 minute moment exactly is when she dives into the water on that fateful run to the water, where we now see we see the shimmering. So we know that the full moon is already up. There's been a break in the clouds. We know and behind us is where the sun is starting to come up. So but you still have a lingering full moon over here. And remember, this was all shot day for night, which means it was shot in the daytime. And then it was using filters. Over the camera lens, it was able to darken it in order to make it look like a surreal twilight. What is the sun is actually the moon right now, and that shimmering is just gorgeous. And that's the haunting aspect of this. But we have to also look at one more thing before I leave. Let's see here. Before we leave this, I want to look at the sea temperatures in Nantucket in June. We know this is in June, and we're going to get into the dates, the specific date on the next minute. When I say Nantucket, remember, I want to focus that when we're dealing with Amity Island and the water temperature, remember, we're looking at South Beaches right here. This is where Chrissie Watkins is entering the water. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at water temperatures of Nantucket in June. And that is going to give us the ideal water temperature for right here. And the Nantucket water temperature, if we look at it, that's a water temperature range in Nantucket in June is minimum 50 degrees, average 61 degrees, maximum 72. So if you think about it, we're about if it's average 61, but because of the minimum 50, average 61, remember to convert that for our listeners outside of the U.S., we're talking that's the average temperature of the water in June is 16 degrees Celsius. And the low 50 is 10 degrees Celsius. So because they were wearing those, because at the beginning they were wearing, at the campfire scene, you could see them with the sleeping bags and the warm clothes. It's cold out. You could also see the steam coming up from the pot. So it's cold out there. What does that mean? That means that we're dealing with water temperature between 61 and 50 degrees, or 16 degrees Celsius and 10 degrees Celsius. That's what Chrissie Watkins just jumped into. Between 61 and 50 degree water temperature. And she didn't even hesitate. She just goes right in. So what we're looking at is that she is outside of her common sense at this point. She's not thinking of self-preservation. She's looking at swimming all the way out there. Later on, we're going to actually hear her shiver and shudder because that is cold water she's entering without hesitation. Is she even planning on coming back? no one will ever know. This run down into the water and without hesitation going into this extremely cold water is something that is very telling about her mindset here, about what were her motivations for not just being on Amity Island, but what were her motivations as she entered the water. What was her mindset as she's going into the water? It's very fascinating. And man, it's very fascinating to see this character at this depth. There's a haunting aspect of Chrissie Watkins that begs for more analysis. That will conclude minute 2. And with that, I would like to thank everybody for your time in listening to this episode 89 of the Jaws Obsession with the expanded Jaws universe, utilizing the Book of Quint. Thank you very much for listening. The movie Jaws is copyrighted property of Universal Studios. Any references and sampling from the movie Jaws in this episode is intended to fall within Section 107 of the Copyright Act. The copyrighted materials are fairly used for the purposes of criticism, comment, reporting, teaching, and research. The materials used here are protected by the fair use guidelines of Section 107 of the Copyright Act. All rights reserved to the copyright owners. Okay, with this final minutes of 89, I want to thank everybody for listening, and I remind that I'm going to be shutting down and headed over to Martha's Vineyard to bring the special edition Book of Quint hardcover for the 50th anniversary of Jaws over to Amity Week, and I will be there for Friday, June 27th from between 2 and 4 p.m. I'll be doing a presentation that will be unlike anything, a story unlike anything the island has ever seen, and it will bring everything a little bit closer to home here about the motivations behind the Book of Quint and how it is a true miracle, that I think it is a higher purpose, that it's a true miracle that we actually have this book here right now. And I hope my presentation explains all that. After the presentation on Saturday, June 28th, between 2 and 4 p.m., I'll be at Edgartown Books signing limited numbers of these books that will be on sale for those that are there. Very exciting. Thank you very much. And until then, I want to thank you for listening. Until next week, farewell and adieu. And please show me the way to go home. Happy anniversary, happy 50th anniversary to the greatest movie ever, Jaws. And I'll see you there on the island.